Pay close attention, because the internet as you know it, here in America, is under threat. This isn't a joke or clickbait. Today, we're going to talk about the Kids Online Safety Act, or KOSA, and a wave of similar laws creeping through Congress and state legislatures right now, often with little fanfare or regard. Now, these new laws, statutes, and acts aren't just about protecting kids. They're setting the stage for mass surveillance. And I know we're already being surveilled, but I'm talking way more. And not only surveillance, but censorship, just like the UK's Online Safety Act. So today, let's take a look at what these laws do, why they're a disaster for freedom, and how they're manipulating you to stay quiet, and what this means for America's future. This is important, so pay attention and share this video with somebody once it clicks.
It's been a long road to get here. The bill passed the Senate. How do you feel?
We feel energized and hopeful and optimistic, and we will be able to move forward with this. It is nice to have 70 senators on this legislation. It shows you that the parents have done an incredible job talking to their representatives and saying, this is why we need this.
Not only energized, but really inspired. This is why we came here, to get things done and do it in a bipartisan way that literally will save lives. What we're doing is giving parents and kids the tools to disconnect from harmful content, bullying, eating disorders, stuff that really hurts them, and also impose a duty of care on big tech that for too long has said, trust us, and betrayed that trust.
Now, the Kids Online Safety Act was reintroduced in May of 2025 in the 119th Congress. It's a bipartisan bill pushed by Senators Richard Blumenthal and Marsha Blackburn. It passed the Senate 91-3 in July of 2024, but stalled in the House. It's back now. And just like the UK, it's aiming to protect kids by imposing a duty of care on platforms like social media, gaming sites, and apps that utilize music. This means companies must prevent minors from seeing harmful content like bullying, slide-related material, or eating disorder triggers through age verification and content filtering. Platforms must also let parents control kids' accounts, limit screen time, and opt out of algorithms. Now, this sounds reasonable, right? I, as a parent, don't disagree with those fundamental thoughts. But the catch is the vague definition of harm, enforced by the Federal Trade Commission and state attorney generals, who can sue platforms for non-compliance. Fines are extremely steep, so companies are incentivized to over-censor.
Small platforms have small problems. They don't have big problems. In fact, we have seen in Europe, when we deploy more aggressive legislation, small companies comply quite easily. So I don't actually buy this argument that somehow regulation is going to squash the competition, because they don't have big problems.
Other laws are popping up too. States like Utah, Florida, and New York have passed or proposed bills requiring age verification for social media. Utah's Social Media Regulations Act and New York's Safe for Kids Act demand parental consent or ID checks for minors. Maryland and Minnesota are pushing age-appropriate design codes, modeled after the UK, requiring platforms to prioritize kids' well-being with mandatory risk assessments. These laws often fly under the radar, disguised and tucked into broader privacy bills or pass quietly during election year chaos. Now, these laws sound like they're about safety, but they're a slippery slope to surveillance and censorship. First, age verification means collecting IDs or biometric data, just like in the UK. Handing over your driver's license or face scan to use X, YouTube, Reddit, or even a music app, that's a data breach waiting to happen, not to mention an extreme privacy issue. The Electronic Frontier Foundation warns KOSA, or the Kids Online Safety Act, could lead to broad online censorship by forcing platforms to guess what's harmful, chilling free speech for everybody, not just kids. Second, the vague harm standard lets regulators pick and choose what's allowed. Want to post about a controversial topic like mental health or something else? Platforms might block it to avoid a lawsuit, especially since state attorney generals, some with clear political bias, can enforce these rules. Third, these laws hurt vulnerable groups who rely on online communities for support. They could lose access if parents or platforms gatekeep sensitive content. Globally, this sets a precedent. If the US follows the UK's lead, other countries will too, absolutely, creating a web where every click is tracked. Small platforms can't afford compliance, so they'll shut down eventually, leaving big tech to dominate everything on the internet. Posts on social media show people are worried, with some calling KOSA a censorship bill disguised as child safety, and that's exactly what I think it is. This isn't just a US problem, by the way. It's a global blueprint for control. Now here's the part that bothers me. If you speak out about this KOSA or Kids Online Safety Act or the state laws that I was talking about, you're painted as someone who doesn't care about kids. As a father, that bothers me. It's the same trick the UK pulled. Oppose the law and you're siding with predators. Senators and advocates push heart-wrenching stories of kids harmed online, like cyberbullying victims or slide cases, to guilt trip you into silence. It's psychological manipulation at its base, plain and simple. They're exploiting your empathy to make you feel like questioning these laws means you're okay with children getting hurt. And nobody's arguing for dangerous content. That's dumb. But these laws aren't about that. They're about giving government and corporations a backdoor to your data and your speech. When they frame critics as anti-child, they're dodging real debate. Privacy, free expression, and government overreach. It's emotional blackmail to ram through surveillance without scrutiny. And it's working because who wants to be that guy who seems to hate kids? Social media users are already calling this out, saying that it's a direct tactic to shut down dissent. And I agree. Now, what are the implications for America? If KOSA or these state laws pass, America's internet is done for sure. Age verification will become the norm, and it'll get worse. Meaning every user, kid or adult, needs to hand over ID or biometric data to browse the internet freely. Your internet posts, YouTube comments, or gaming profiles, all tied to your real identity, trackable by the FTC or state officials. The Supreme Court's ruling in FSC v. Texas last month upheld age verification for porn sites, signaling courts might greenlight broader ID checks. States like Florida and Utah are already enforcing social media age gates, and if KOSA passes, it'll go national, folks. Platforms will over-censor to avoid fines, killing open discourse. The ACLU warns KOSA could violate the First Amendment. And similar state laws in Indiana and Texas were struck down for this reason. But with bipartisan support backed by tech giants like Apple and even Elon Musk, the momentum's strong. If we don't stop this now, the US will mirror the UK's dystopian internet, where you're monitored at every turn. And once it's law, good luck undoing it. Platforms will comply, VPNs will be targeted, and your online freedom will be a memory. So cherish that memory. So in conclusion, KOSA and these sneaky state laws aren't about keeping kids safe at all. They're about turning the internet into a surveillance spiderweb. The US is inches away from copying the UK's playbook, where you need an ID to listen to music, send a tweet, or get on YouTube. We can't let Protect the Children become a blank check for tracking and censoring everyone. That is stupid. I have 3 children and I don't agree with this. I'm gonna monitor what my kids do online because I'm their adult parent, and so should everybody else. The internet's supposed to be free. Let's keep it that way. Share this video, post it on Facebook, X, Instagram, on your YouTube channel, whatever. This needs to get out, and everybody needs to know what they're trying to do, because this is going to affect everything. I don't think you understand. Thanks for watching.